Hey guys, it's me, Mario, and today we're going to continue Kaymon, the Gorgon Hound. How you guys doing today? Hope you're doing well. Turn on the music. There we go. Only needs to be a background thing. And let's get this started. Chapter 2. Kaymon's Power. The eerie howl rang out again. It sounds so lonely, Helena murmured, her voice trembling. But it sounds evil, too, Tam said as a third howl drifted on the wind. Look! He pointed to a dark shape on the hilltops to the west. Silhouetted against the blood-red disk of the setting sun, with his extra keen vision, Tam could see a pair of terrible yellow eyes that shone with a wicked light. It's a hound, Helena, he said. A moment later, Kaymon came leaping down the hilltop, still some distance away, but hurtling rapidly towards them with gnashing, slavering fangs. Soon she was crashing through the bluebell, through the blue flowers. Her teeth ripped their heads off, and her huge feet crushed them as she tore a path towards Tom and his companions. Storm tossed his head, his eyes rolling as the hound drew rapidly closer. The fur bristled all along his Silver's bristled back, and he growled, pawing the ground. Kaymon was as large as a bull, and her thick black fur was tangled and caked with filth. She gave off a smell, too, a foul, choking stench that made Tom reel. As the beast pounded forwards, Tom saw the evil light in her eyes, and the terrible stench of her shoulders and flanks. The terrible strength of her shoulders and flank. He also noticed something else. The beast wore a thick collar of twisted gold around her neck, and set deep into the precious metal was a huge white jewel. Tom caught hold of Storm's reins and stepped in front of Elena, drawing his sword. Keep back, he said to his friends, and waited, sword in hand, as the hound came crashing out of the flowers. Suddenly Silver jumped past him, his teeth bared as he sprung at the beast's throat. Silver now, Tom shouted, but the wolf ignored his cries, leaping up with his jaws wide. He sank his teeth into Kaymon's neck. The hound snarled and howled, shaking her head as she tried to free herself. But Silver's jaws held her in a deadly grip, his jaws tearing at the beast's fur. For a few moments, Silver put up a tremendous fight, but then Kaymon let out a furious roar, and her whole body suddenly began to swell, writhing and distorting and changing shape so that Silver lost his grip and was thrown off. What's happening? Helena cried. She's changing, Tom shouted in horror. Instead of one hound, there were now 3. Tom stared in disbelief. his heart almost stopping in his chest. Each of the beasts was as huge and as savage as the first, and all three turned on Silver as he stood panting and snarling. "He doesn't stand a chance," Elena cried as the hounds leaped on the startled wolf. Silver vanished from sight under the dark bulk of their powerful bodies, his angry growls drowned out by the snapping and snarling of the three hounds. Tom turned to Elena. "Take Storm's reins," he said urgently. "I have to rescue Silver, I mean." He tightened his grip on his shield and brandished his sword as he ran forwards. One of the hounds turned from the wolf, its yellow eyes blazing. A moment later, it was in the air, leaping at Tom's head. "Watch out!" he heard Elena shout. Tom lifted his shield to deflect the sharp claws that were reaching out to gorge his eyes. The weight of the hound sent him staggering backwards, and he almost fell. But he managed to hold his ground, digging in his heels, using the strength given to him by the golden breastplate. He blocked the hound's charge with his shield and sent it crashing to one side. Then with a sharp twist of his wrist, his sword pierced the hound's thick fur. Dark blood spurted from the wound as the beast welled in pain and turned tail, running away into the dusk. Tom saw a second hound racing towards Elena and Storm. Swift as lightning, Elena fitted an arrow to her bow and let it fly. She loosened 3 arrows into the beast, one after the other, as it hurtled towards her. The third arrow embedded itself deep in the hound's leg. Howling wildly, the evil creature twisted around, trying to bite it off. Well done, Tom shouted, running towards his friends. The wounded beast came to a trembling halt. Then it, too, raced away. Snarling with pain, they had beaten 2 of the evil beasts. But the third hound was standing over Silver. The wolf lay on the ground, dreadfully still. Tom's heart was in his mouth. Was Silver already dead? "No!" Tom yelled, running swiftly towards the third hound, his sword slashing. Kaymon turned, his massive jaws opened and her eyes burning with a furious evil. For a moment, Tom and the beast looked into one another's eyes. Then Tom raised his sword, aiming to plunge it into the monster's heart. But the hound turned and raced away through the flowers, following the other 2 fleeing beasts towards the distant hills. "Come back and fight," Tom shouted after them. He ran into the bluebells, beating the darting stamens back with his shield, determined to follow the escaping beasts. Excuse me. But a whimper from Tom stopped him. He paused, looking over his shoulder to where the wolf lay on the ground. Elena knelt at Silver's side, cradling the wolf's head in her lap. Storm stood over them, whining anxiously. Silver was badly wounded, his flesh torn open along his neck and flanks, his fur matted. Blood soaked from the claws and fangs of the 3 evil hounds. I can't leave Silver like this, he murmured. But before going to the wolf, he lifted his sword and shouted, "No matter how far you run, Kaymon, we will meet again. I promise that." That chapter was intense. 3 against 1 is never fair. But what can you do? Hope Silver is going to be okay. And I hope you like this video. This chapter of Kaymon, the Gorgon Hound. And I hope you will join me on Thursday, where we continue with Chapter 3, The Binding Chain. Oh, man. I teared up the first time I read this. Yeah, I was shocked and surprised that Silver actually went for that. Oh my goodness. I'm a huge dog lover, and this is just... ugh, it's just staring at me. But yeah, oh my god. Hope you like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more these quest videos. And I hope to see you on Thursday, where we find out what happens next. Right. Bye-bye.